We are facing devastation on a scale not seen in centuries.
Lyra, are you in trouble? Do you need help?
You are not endearing yourself to me, Mr. Scoresby.
Hello, so welcome to episode 3 of my review slash reaction, kind of, I guess, to the newest episode of His Dark Materials. Now, there's going to be spoilers for the episode, for future things that might happen in the series, because I am a book fan, and so I will be talking about them in context of the books. So if that's not for you, please click away. One thing before we start, I would like to show you my Chitagazze shirt that I got for my birthday, which I'm super excited about. I love it. It's from my boyfriend's mum. Sad news, I actually vlogged my birthday and it was really great because I went to uni and everything, but then my memory card corrupted. So I don't know whether that video will be out ever, let alone soon. So yeah, there was supposed to be a video to break up the His Dark Materials content on my channel and it just didn't happen. So I'm sorry about that, but can we just fangirl over Lee Scoresby for a hot minute? Now I'm gonna like I'm gonna like give a prologue, I guess, to this episode and my thoughts on this episode. I was concerned, you could say, about what we found out in the preview of this episode, what with that Mrs. Coulter and Lee were gonna meet, and that worried me for a few reasons. One, because it's not in the book, and we have a track record with this book being adapted poorly, and I really didn't want that to happen because the TV show had been doing it so right for so long. So I was worried that there would be potential for that scene to ruin everything that they had built, but it didn't. It was so wonderful and so magical, and honestly, some of the best acting I've seen in a long time. Like, it was so incredible. Lynn and Ruth were phenomenal, fantastic. It was just so good. Like, as whatever you want to say about whether you feel that that added scene was good or not, or needed or not, or true to the books or not, you cannot deny the chemistry, the tension, and the sheer talent that they put on our screens tonight. Now, I really wish I had been recording my reaction to this episode, because this one by far has been the best episode of the whole show so far, and it even tops Lee's introduction episode for me, because episode 4 of the first season, Armor, is one of my favourite episodes, and this one went higher. Okay, so I'm just going to go through my live tweet thread. I'll leave that in the description if you want to read it, of my live thoughts as I was watching the episodes, sat on the couch with my boyfriend. Genuinely, I loved this episode. I was worried about this edition, but I think it was perfect. And I'm so glad that they added it in, because it gave us so much more depth into Mrs. Coulter and into Lee. So, without further ado, the poor witches crying emojis. Can we just talk about the devastation of that land? And I mentioned this in my video last week, but the parallels between the people in power in our world that are destroying our world, the parallels between those people in the Magisterium. Just gonna say, quite clever, quite clever. No, Lyra, don't go alone. I thought that I just didn't like it. It was like, no, bad news, Lyra, bad news, bad news. Don't go on your own, stop! And again, I just have to reiterate how beautiful the Chitagazze set is. Come on! It's literally perfect. It's so good. That bit of summoning from Stanislav Grumman. Wow. 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 And they were, Lee was Yenisei, I think. that's how he pronounced that river, and I've been pronouncing it Yensai this whole time, so I got that wrong. And also the way he says Grumman, he says Grumman, which is not how I said it when I read it in the books, and I can't remember which is like the correct way of saying it, but like those are two words that Lee just schooled me on the pronunciation of. One thing that I thought was a little bit disappointing this episode was that we didn't get to see Will hear / read all of the letters and the whole things. And now I know that is something that is good in a book, but in a TV show, if you have 15 minutes of a character there just reading letters, it's boring, but I just wanted to see it, you know? Bit disappointed. But I 100% understand why that they did that. My favourite quote this episode has to be, "What a wonderful moustache." Like, Lyra, like, just blagging away through all the terrors that her life has given her. Like, the part with, the part where Lyra betrays Will, when she gets caught out when she's lying to the police officer, it was just so heartbreaking. And in the book, it's horrible because she's just talked about in the just before, she's talked about to Will how she betrayed somebody and she's never going to do that again, and that she promises that she's not going to betray him, and then she does, and in the book she feels guilty for that for a long time, and it's heartbreaking when it happens in the book, but on screen just seeing it, so heartbreaking. I just wrote, "You are right, Lee, it is weird." I think that was about the observatory and how like religious nuts they are. Mary's family this episode, can we just, in the books we don't really get any of like Mary's backstory, her family or anything like that, so to see them in the show, absolutely great. I would love Mary to be my aunt. That would be great. That would be so great. He's finally read the note, finally, after that whole time of walking past it, like, must have been like at least twice. He's finally read the note. He's finally read the note, guys. It's okay. He's finally read the note. The transition of, it was pan into Kaiser, I think. Like, pan flew through the screen and then it changed and it was like Kaiser flying. That was such a good transition. Like, I'm known to love a good transition. Like, this transition, the peach wrench transition in Twilight New Moon, where Bella throws a piece of pizza and it turns into a wrench when Jacob catches it. I call this scene with love pizza wrench, and perfect transitions, love them. Yorick and Kaiser, love it. In the books, this information is actually passed on to Seraphina through Thorold, and since Thorold was in prison so they could have that scene with Mrs. Coulter, I was wondering how they were going to sort of have Seraphina find out what happened, because she still like didn't know. So yeah, that was good, and it was nice to see Yorick and to hear Jo. It was really nice to see Yorick. And it also sets up a journey that Yorick will go on, possibly next season, but the journey that Yorick is going on in the second book, in this third book even. And then my next tweet is, "A woman dressed in red means danger." I learned that from Of Mice and Men. I don't know, just seeing her turn up at that like little town dressed in red, looking so wonderfully feminine, just reminded me of Curly's wife in Of Mice and Men. Like, danger. She's dangerous. This, and I'm going to talk about it now. The scene with Lee and Mrs. Coulter, and how they're discussing how they love Lyra, and the whole thing of who they think is best for her, and obviously Lee thinks he's best for her because Mrs. Coulter is a little bit evil, and the fact that she is like, if you find her, keep her safe. My heart broke into a million pieces. And the common ground they have with having abusive families. Now, if you have read The Secret Commonwealth, there's a little diddly bit about Marissa's family, which is really nice to. So yeah, like, that scene was done to perfection. And if we're gonna have scenes completely made up between two characters that never meet in the book, that is how you do it. And I wanted to applaud the writers and also the director of that episode, because it was done magnificently, and the way that the humans interacted with the demons as well in that scene was just so damn good. It was just so good. The fact she left and then held the monkey's hand. Little monkey prick. I think also the parallel of having them watch Paddington when they go to the cinema, and the parallel of Paddington being a speaking bear that went through a portal. It was so dead on, like so dead on, and I was hoping that they would do like something so dead on like that, like a commentary of the themes and the emotions of the episode when they went to the cinema with the movie that they actually saw. Obviously one that fits into like the time scale of where the show is. Obviously they're not going to be watching a film from 1995, but I think they picked a really good movie to do it. And doesn't Lyra remind you of Paddington a little bit in her Trollesund outfit? Can we talk about Lyra and the tension between her and Charles Latimer, otherwise known as Lord Boreal? I can't deal with it. He is not a good man. And real creepy. But I think where we ended this episode really sets us up for a fast-paced next week's episode, because from the little preview that we're about to watch, we can see a lot.
Good. You're here.
The bearer of the mind could put Lyra in even greater danger.
His dark materials.
We can see them trying to go and get the knife. Lee and John finally meeting. Yes, my friends, Andrew Scott will finally be in the show. And Miriam stuff, some more Mary stuff sprinkled in there, I hope to see. Yeah, next week is looking good, and I think it's just going to pick up from there. So I'm really excited about this episode, and I'm going to go now because my camera is dying, and I don't want this week's review to be as long as last week's, because it was pretty long, and it was long to edit, and it was long to render, and it was long to upload. And since I don't have my birthday vlog to post, I want to put this as soon as possible. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Comment down below your thoughts, and yeah, thanks for being faithful, and thanks for watching. Mwah.